I was asked to step into a role as a manager at Comey Shepherd's Anderson office. A lot of people have said, why would you do that? But I think a big part of what I enjoyed in my role, even as a successful agent in that office, was mentoring and helping newer agents to the business get familiar with how the systems work, how they can work their business plans, that sort of thing. I felt like I was spending a lot of my day serving as a mentor to agents who were new to the business, and I really enjoyed that.
Today we have Tracy Dunne, Chief Operating Officer for Comey Shepherd Realtors and 2024 President of the Realtor Alliance of Greater Cincinnati. Tracy has been in real estate since 2003, officially getting her license in 2005. During her time in the industry, Tracy has earned numerous certifications and designations. In 2015, she graduated from the Cincinnati Leadership Academy, and in 2019, she was awarded Realtor of the Year in Management for the Cincinnati Area Board of Realtors. In addition to her involvement in local associations, Tracy serves on the Grievance and Legislative Steering Committees for Ohio Realtors, not to mention the Professional Development Committee for the National Association of Realtors. Welcome to the show, Tracy Dunne.
Thank you.
All right.
It's nice to be here.
We're excited to have you here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we always like to start out to let our audience get to know you a little bit, and for us too. So why don't you just kind of take us back to maybe before real estate, and I think in your case, even before Cincinnati, and kind of what brought you here, and just start with that story.
Well, my first introduction to real estate was I was a call coordinator and receptionist in a real estate office in Maryland. I was born and raised in the Baltimore, Washington area.
Wow.
After I graduated from college, I went on to work for the American Red Cross for 10 years.
Oh, really?
And at the national headquarters in downtown DC.
Okay. What did you do there?
And I was with a facilities management and special projects division.
Okay.
And so we did some pretty cool things. We consolidated the disaster travel program. So people all over the country were just flying their own preferred airlines to get where they wanted to go. So we did a consolidated air travel program to bring all of them together. We built a museum out of one of the buildings downtown,
No way.
DC.
Wow.
So we did some pretty exciting projects. We built a national records center where I had the opportunity to work with a bunch of women who served as donut dollies.
Really?
And so that was pretty exciting. They helped us organize some of the historical paperwork. And that was my first experience at working with volunteers, which I feel has led to my ability to work for independent contractors at this point in my career.
Great.
But it was a very exciting career. I enjoyed every minute of it. But my husband had an opportunity to come to Cincinnati for his job. And I was commuting an hour and a half each way back and forth to work every day.
Wow.
So we decided that I'd find a new path when we got to Cincinnati. And here we are.
There
I
it
came
is.
kicking and screaming, but I love Cincinnati now. And this is definitely my home.
Great.
That's awesome. And so you got here to Cincinnati and you were looking for that new path. Was it immediately right into real estate, or what did that look like for you?
So I had young children at the time, and I was trying to just figure out what I wanted to do, and found an opportunity for a neighbor of mine to work as an unlicensed assistant just a couple of hours a week. So I had flexibility. We didn't have any family here. So if one of my children was sick, I had to be the one that was there to take care of them and take off from work. So I found a neighbor that needed an unlicensed assistant, Sue Miller. So I went to work for the two Sues as their unlicensed assistant, and worked just a couple hours a week in their office as an unlicensed assistant.
Great.
Then it
cool.
progressed from there.
Yeah, just kind of gradually
Yeah.
kept dipping your toe a little deeper. And
Well, they were getting ready to hire a buyer's agent. I was like, what if I get my license? They're like, then you can be our buyer's agent.
nice.
I said, all right, I'll do that for a while.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while.
Well, very cool.
So
Well, you mentioned your young kids. Tell us a little bit about your family.
I have a daughter and a son, and they're all grown up now. They're 29 and 26 at this point. And my daughter is living in Charlotte, North Carolina at this point. And my son lives here in Cincinnati and has followed in my footsteps in the industry.
Great.
So
That's awesome.
it's pretty exciting to have a second generation in the business.
That's really
And
Do you guys work together?
a little bit,
Do you?
but not in the same way that maybe we would have if I had stayed in the sales tract.
Sure.
But definitely have had the opportunity to coach and mentor him
That's
in the
great.
business, and that's been super fun.
Yeah.
cool.
That's
But now
awesome.
he's got a manager that he actually listens to instead of instead of mom telling
Yeah.
him what to do all the time.
Right.
So it's good. And so my husband and I are empty nesters. We love to travel. We love to, go out on the boat on the weekend, and we like to ski.
Nice. Do you go to the lake, I guess?
We do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep.
awesome. I grew up doing that a lot, so
Yeah,
that's fun.
it's fun. That was good family time when our
Mhm.
kids were growing up. So
Yeah.
it was fun, but it's fun now too, being an empty nester and having the chance to do a lot of stuff with my husband. And
Oh, I bet.
And-
Yeah.
That's great.
It's a special
so
time.
yeah,
Do you guys get home a lot or no?
home to
As
Maryland.
far as Maryland is concerned?
We used to
Yeah.
quite a bit, and now honestly, my family will come here to visit quite often.
That's
so
great.
I host Thanksgiving from the Marylanders all come to Cincinnati, and
Oh, wow.
my brothers and sisters are all over the country now.
Yeah.
So they'll come and visit, and we don't have as much family in Maryland anymore. But always like to go back and visit.
Sure.
But I'm so happy to come home
Yeah.
when it's all over.
I find it interesting. You talked about off production that the pace was so much different from a Cincinnati to a Maryland style, and I think you can see that from a Milford or a Loveland or an Anderson to downtown Cincinnati too. So how is adjusting to this region kind of helped you kind of move forward in your business too? Because I think a lot of people have questions like, hey, are you from around here? That's always one of the big questions that everybody always asks, and it's like, I'm not from around here, so I assume jumping on board with Sue Miller was probably a great benefit for you, and as far as getting jump started in the industry and learning more about real estate. If you want to talk about that for just a quick minute, just because I think mentorship and the way you're coaching and stuff like that is just so important.
And mentorship, absolutely, positively. Both Sue Wall and Sue Miller have been tremendous mentors to me and getting me going in the business and teaching me the value of relationships and leaning into the people who know a little bit more than I do, and they gave me the opportunity to work with people in their sphere. I got the opportunity to sit right there next to them and watch them do their business. But yet I also learned how maybe I want to do things a little bit more authentic to who I am.
Sure.
And so after 5 years, I went off and became an independent agent.
That's great.
And worked independently in the business for a while. So it is definitely a business that is the relationships are so important,
Yeah.
and just being able to trust the person that you're working with and have them trust you is a big part of this business. And I think the most successful agents in the business really get the fact that this is a relationship business and just genuine, being kind to others and
Sure.
and being a good listener
Yeah.
is a big part of being a successful agent.
That's great. It might correlate into how you wanted to roll into your role as far as with Comey and Shepherd. I know we talked about kind of diving into that a little bit in the mentorship aspect. If you, I know Daniel had a question or a few questions.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think if you could kind of walk us through, that time going from working with Sue to the 5 years you spent as a solo agent to the journey to where you are now and what that looked like for you. I'd love to hear that.
Sure. So I started off as an unlicensed assistant and then went into being a buyer's agent, then an independent agent. I was fortunate enough to have enough business to need an assistant of my own and tried hiring a buyer agent for a little bit. Didn't love that for my business.
Sure.
So I learned that's probably not the way I worked the best, is having a buyer agent working on my team. But learning how to build a team in real estate that made my business successful was an important part of the journey. And then I was asked to step into a role as a manager at Comey Shepherd's Anderson office. And a lot of people have said, why would you do that? But I think a big part of what I enjoyed in my role, even as a successful agent in that office, was mentoring and helping newer agents to the business get familiar with how the systems work, how they can, work their business plans, that sort of thing. I felt like I was spending a lot of my day serving as a mentor to agents who were new to the business, and I really enjoyed that. And so I worked at Comey Shepherd's Anderson office for a while and served as their manager, and that is that was a terrific experience. And then had the opportunity to go over to work at the corporate office and also manage the Marymount branch.
Wow.
So at this point, I am serving as the manager of the Marymount branch and also as the chief operating officer for Comey Shepherd.
Wow.
So
That's so cool.
there you go.
Man,
It's been a journey.
it's a lot of work.
Well, I think one of the things that makes me able to help agents navigate situations that they run into with their business is I've sat in every chair.
Yeah.
If an agent is talking to me about hiring an assistant, I can tell them these are the things that are important to an assistant. These are the things that you need to consider. If they're thinking of hiring, if they're thinking of putting a team together, I can say, have you thought of this? Have you considered that? And so having sat in the chairs and understanding both sides of it, I think helps me provide really better guidance to the agents who are asking me, how do you do this? Is this the right thing for me? And surely what I've learned in my role as a leader and a manager at Comey is that what's right for one isn't necessarily right for another. This industry is, full of teams that do business very different ways. And the most important thing is just to have clarity in what everyone's roles are and what the expectations are of each of the people who are involved.
Well, yeah, and then I think it's really cool to hear you say that, because you talk about the relationships mattering so much. Like, building a relationship with those agents is probably just as important for your job as it is for an agent and their client, just because you have to match personalities with the style of business that they want to grow as well. Like the two Sues thinking on a larger frame level, or an individual agent saying, I like to do it all. Like, I want to be on my own and I'm cool.
I don't want anybody else touching my business. I don't want anybody. I am a control freak.
Yep.
I didn't want to say it, but they're out there.
They're out there.
They're out there.
They're for sure out there. But finding other ways that those professionals can find assistance in their careers. So maybe they don't need to build a team, but maybe a transaction coordinator is something that would help them have the time to grow their business while someone else did some of the administrative things. Just trying to find avenues for agents to be successful, whatever their end goals are.
That's great. I love that.
I love doing it.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. It's got to be fulfilling. I mean, you came from a nonprofit too, where, the Red Cross is the first thing I think of is helping people, and I mean, that's probably, to me, there's just such a correlation. We talked about that. There's got to be a correlation between being successful in your previous career and then this career as well, because you're helping people,
Yes.
It's a for-profit industry, but at the same time, this is not an easy industry to be successful in. So being able to help somebody in that manner has got to be so rewarding.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think there was one day that I finally woke up and, said to somebody, I can't believe that I'm spending a career in sales, because that's just not where I ever would have seen myself ending up.
Sure.
And they said, you're really in the service industry. You're really not in the sales business, because I don't want to sell somebody something that they don't want to buy. I want to help them find the home that they want to have forever. Or in the case of coaching agents, I want to help them get to where they want to be.
Right.
I don't want to sell them any programs or coaching opportunities and that they don't want or need.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that reframe is key, though. I mean, that is what a good salesperson does, right? So both are true.
Provide good service.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I am in all of you right now because of what you just shared about all of your work at Comey, and now to also know what has been a big part of your life for the past few years too at the board.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to share a little bit about that.
That's part of the reason why I said she's busy.
I know, because we're just like, wait, what?
It's been a journey.
So how did you first get involved at RAGC? What inspired you to get involved there? And really, what do you think has been the biggest impact that you've made through your involvement there locally and even statewide?
Well, there's a lot in that question.
There is. So let's start with how you got. Let's start with how you got involved.
Yeah. So somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Have you ever considered attending the Leadership Academy?" And I was not involved at the board. I was not part of any committees. And they just said, "Would you consider getting involved at the leadership? Taking the Leadership Academy?" And I thought, "Oh, that's right up my alley. I'd love to do that." That was a terrific program. I enjoyed doing that, learning a lot about the structure of the organization and the larger state and national associations and how they play into the local associations. So at the end of that, they say, "Okay, let us know what committee you want to sign up for." So I got involved with the Professional Standards Committee at that point and enjoyed that very much. And then as I moved into management, had the opportunity to serve on the Contracts Committee, and then got tapped on the shoulder again and said, "Would you consider running for director?" It sounded like an okay idea at the time. It still was a great idea. I have thoroughly enjoyed and I think it's true whether I'm serving on a committee or whether I'm serving on the board of directors. I think one of the true benefits of being involved at the board is seeing varying perspectives and seeing varying ideas about different ways to do business, different business models, different perspectives on how things are or should be. A lot of education on things, way more education than I ever thought I would need on how an MLS system works.
Right.
But I think I would say the biggest advantage to being involved at that level has been the relationships that I have gained and, more mentors and more people that I really just have so much admiration for that have been in this business for a long time and have had the opportunity to build good, good relationships with. And I know I can pick up the phone anytime and call them and say, "Hey, I want to bounce an idea off of you." But it's a lot about being tapped on the shoulder and having a colleague say, "Have you thought about, would you consider?"
Yeah.
So, and I love it. I really enjoy it. I enjoy being collaborative. I am by nature a problem solver. I want to make things better. I want to make things more efficient. I want to make things right.
Yeah.
So I think just the opportunity to build additional relationships and to have,
like you said, I mean, it's such a relational industry, and I see the board as just such a great place to build those relationships and to be able to build into each other and give each other advice. And like you said, education, there's just so much that can happen there that's being facilitated by the board that I see it as just a huge resource that more agents really need to take advantage of.
and when you're building those relationships, if you're in a, if I see that an agent that I have worked with at the board has a listing and I have the opportunity, to have already built a relationship of trust with the agent that has that listing, that's huge.
Yeah.
That agent is going to tell their client, I know this agent. She is a good agent. She is, she's going to get the job done. And that's, that's a big part of it too, is just building the relationships with your colleagues.
Yeah. And we'll collectively get to the finish line together, which I love the fact that real estate is a competitive atmosphere. But like you said, I love how that collaboration is taking over from competitive, and people are building stronger relationships on that end, knowing a lot of the properties are in multiples. So I say that same thing to a lot of real estate agents. I'm like, if all the offers are the same, you can't tell me you're not looking at the real estate agent on the offer and saying, I know this will be a smooth transaction. They're a great agent. They do great work, But, with that said, I also love the aspect of, you're great with what you're doing at Comey and Shepherd, but then you're also stepping out of that box too, to collaborate with agents of all brokerages, so it's, from a board perspective, I think it's only stronger for Comey and Shepherd too.
I would agree with that.
I love that thought of getting out there and collaborating with people in the industry, knowing that it's only going to help the entire business too. So I mean, do you see that kind of at all?
100%. Terry Hankner is also one of my role models
She's
in this
wonderful.
business. She is a wonderful woman, and she has given so much back to our company and to the industry, and I just have so much admiration for what she's done throughout her career. And honestly, when you see a role model that does things the right way, you're like, I strive to do things as great as she does.
Sure. It's very motivating and inspiring for sure.
Yes, it is. She's really just set a great standard for what to expect. She has always treated everyone with, a great amount of respect, and she has really always believed in this industry and fought for the industry. And I have so much respect for that, because the agents that work for us deserve that.
Absolutely. And I'm curious too, during your tenure at the board, what do you think have been some of your biggest accomplishments, or what are you most proud of that you've been able to do?
So thank you for asking for accomplishments and not challenges.
Hey, we'll get there too. There's plenty of those.
But maybe the accomplishments begin with what the challenges have been along the way.
Yeah.
As when I became on the board of directors, COVID hit. So that was my first experience at the table. In the boardroom was a virtual boardroom,
Right.
and having to do everything virtually and learning to navigate meetings and building relationships and having committee meetings literally over Zoom.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's been, that was the first challenge. And then moving forward, as I went into the chairs of leadership for the board, Ann Uckman was serving as president and had some medical issues. So I had the opportunity to walk alongside her as she dealt with her situation. and to help her in her time that she was president. And lo and behold, in August of that year, the MLS crashed, and there was a lot of anger and frustration, and I laid awake every night asking myself, how can I make this better for the people that I serve?
Yeah.
And fortunately, Anne was able to be back in the chair to talk at that point also. But I really feel like that was an incredibly challenging time. And I think if you turn that into an accomplishment, hearing what the members wanted and being able to make what they want be what my job was.
Yeah. Right.
And having such having the opportunity to realize the importance of listening to the membership and making sure that when you do serve on a committee, that you're not afraid to speak up, that you are not afraid to give your opinion. And so getting us back to a point where we could operate our MLS and things were just about running smooth when the NAR lawsuit was announced. So it's been...
it's not one thing, it's another, right?
Somebody said to me at the end of last year, it can never be as hard as it was last year. And I said, oh, that's true, knock on wood. But that knock on wood thing didn't work.
No,
there
nope.
was
Not enough
new
wood in the world
challenges.
for that one.
Yes, there were new challenges that we faced this year. But I think one of the things that I have learned is how resilient the people who work in our industry are. And the true professionals in this industry, they are able to, they're able to recover. They are able to, and all they want are answers. Just tell me what I got to do and I'll do it. It doesn't matter. I'll, whatever the rules are, even if I don't like them, I will make my business work. They will find ways to make, to deal with the challenges that are in front of them. And I think that's one of the things that I truly love about the type of people that work in our industry is those people who are committed to working in the industry and who are the professionals who do it every day, who make it their career. Those people are able to adjust.
Right.
And a big part of the job of leadership is saying, here's what's going on, here's what you need to know, here's how you have to do it, and they'll adjust. Because we're back in business after the NAR lawsuit. People have adjusted.
I feel like you
the
have
MLS
to.
And everything too. Like,
I mean, this day and age, the rate of change just in general in the whole world it's unbelievable. And I think adaptation, like you said, it's crucial for anybody, but especially in this industry when so much change is happening, especially all at once.
Well, and again, I just keep coming back to the importance of listening to what are the problems and focusing on what is your end result.
Yeah.
Like understanding that you always have to have your eye on the end game. You have to have your eye on the goal. Where are you headed? What do you need to accomplish? And learning how to guide and coach agents through that is a big part.
Well, then you get that curveball with the MLS. And I just say from an outsider's perspective looking in, who's a little bit closer than the average person in the real estate community, I just had a whole lot of grace and a whole lot of compassion for what the board and you guys went through, because you got tasked with an impossible situation that nobody ever expected. And I think that's hard for some people to understand or comprehend. And all they thought about was the MLS was down. And it was like, let's look at the moving parts right now with the people who aren't sleeping trying to figure this out. And I remember thinking about that and having so much grace for somebody like Anne, who was going through what she was going through, and everybody up there who's trying to do what's in the best interest of the members. And I think it's important for people to remember that as well. Like, you have the right people in place. I think it's important for those people to understand that, take a breath and you'll get your answer. It's okay. This too shall pass.
It does. It really does. And it is, I think one thing that we have to remember is the average consumer probably doesn't have that same level of grace
for us. They had no idea it even happened either, though.
And we don't need to walk in and tell them, look, our MLS is down. We don't need to go over our woes. We need to focus on finding a way for our agents to be able to do business as effectively as they can, so that they can go in there and that consumer doesn't have any idea what we're going through.
Absolutely.
And
I think you guys did a great job.
Thank you.
I know a ton of people not involved in the industry have no idea that even happened. The NAR lawsuit is kind of tipped into the consumer aspect of things just based on national media, but from a localized standpoint, I think you knocked it out of the park. So
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, I have one more question for you. We always like to give a quick shout out to Back to Back Ministries here. They let us use this awesome studio. The question I'm going to ask for you, you can kind of be thinking about it. Just lessons learned in your time while serving as a leader on the board. I'd love to hear maybe even just one or two big takeaways and lessons that you've learned while I give Back to Back a quick shout out here. So Back to Back Ministries is a global nonprofit orphan care organization with their sights set on providing care for today and hope for every tomorrow. From Cincinnati, Ohio to Hyderabad, India, staff teams around the world are stepping into hard stories and choosing to stay. To learn more about the work Back to Back does, how you can get involved, and why a global team won't stop until every child is known and loved, visit backtoback.org today.
We definitely appreciate them.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right. So what's your big aha or lesson learned?
I've learned a lot of lessons over, and a big part of it is listening. Mm-hmm. And a big part of it is putting your head down and working towards the goal. And I think I have developed an appreciation for the professionals in this industry that I couldn't possibly have had before we experienced this. And to see how they change their entire way of doing business overnight and pull it off with such grace and professionalism is just astounding to me. And there are so many great agents out there, and I feel like consumers often don't appreciate the value of a real estate agent and what they bring to the transaction. But I do think there are a lot of people who can choose to go it alone. Like you can book your own travel, or you can represent yourself in court, or you can get a professional to help you do it. And so I think I have learned the importance of continuing to provide educational programs, the importance of communication and effective communication, because there's effective and ineffective communication. And sometimes telling people things that are not necessarily what they want to hear, but telling them the truth is an important part of being trusted.
Yeah.
And I really do feel like the professionals in this industry deserve a huge shout out for the great job that they do.
Absolutely.
Well, we're grateful for and kind of astounded by all that you do, both for Comey and for the greater real estate industry here in Cincinnati and the statewide as well, your leadership, and we're excited to see where you go next.
Thanks.
Hopefully you get to sleep sometime next year.
I thought about that. I enjoy every minute of it.
That's
and
awesome.
I guess they say if you enjoy what you do, you don't work a day in your life.
There you go.
I feel like maybe I've worked a day or two, but I do really enjoy what I do.
Well, based on last year, you definitely worked, that's for sure. But
thank you.
It's glad to see that the clouds have risen, the fog is gone, and everything's moving forward and progressing nicely. I think you guys run a great board. We've always wanted to support them with real producers and everything that we could do, and always will. So
You've done a great job.
Would love to collaborate on top of just the podcast, with you and the board, and see what we can do to help. So
thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
Well, thanks for coming. It's
Yeah.
been a lot of fun.
Appreciate you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Cincinnati Real Producers Podcast, powered by Nextdoor Photos. We do this every week, so be sure to subscribe so you can follow along. If you liked our conversation, leave us a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts.